Alpha.
This reminds me of the very first time I held an Alpha. That was when Sony had launched the A7S a few years back. Buying that camera was probably one of the best decisions I ever made as a storyteller. The camera would always push me to become better and has played a huge role in the filmmaker that I am today. In the last few years, I've had the privilege of creating a lot of content across the world with amazing brands like BMW, Standard Chartered, Uber Eats and Red Bull to name a few. Yes, the Sony A7S Mark III is one of the most awaited cameras, but I prefer not to talk too much about the specs of the camera in this video because there are many videos that already do that. But what I'm going to do instead is exactly what the predecessor of this camera did to me. In the next 3 minutes, I'm going to put this camera through 3 different scenarios which are very relevant to me to push this camera to the max and try and bring out its true potential. And by the end of this video, we could decide if this has been worth the wait. But for now, I'll have to pack up this camera. The first scenario I put my camera through is a low light, limited gear setup. One camera, one lens, no gimbal, fully handheld. The improved stabilization along with the active shot lets you film smooth shots even without a gimbal. However, if you do have some additional gear, you could nail super cinematic ad-like product shots with this camera. And now without further drooling, let's get back to my workout drink and move on to the next scenario, where I wanted to test its autofocus upgrade with better performance. This time, the camera on a gimbal and on autofocus mode throughout. After all, there's no better way of challenging the autofocus while you follow a subject on the run. Even though we kept losing light, what's important was that we never lost focus. And that brought me to the third scenario, where I wanted to test the camera's color science, dynamic range, and of course, the S&Q modes. So I decided to take a short trip outside town. One of the lights there is actually the moon, which is what we are going to the mountains to film. We're finally here. The star performers are the S-Log 3 with a new native ISO of 160, the human eye tracking which is too good to be true, and the incredible dynamic range. The S in the A7S stands for sensitivity, and it stands tall in every low light situation. And at the end of it all, nothing makes a filmmaker happier than reviewing some really awesome footage.